Omar Sheikh's mind is always working. Once he's taken a job, he would make sure that he would do it his best way possible.
Hello friends, we are with the team of Omerta, Rajkummar and Hansal Mehta. What exactly the film is about?
Well, I created his world. There was research that helped me do that. There was a lot of research that I had to go through, read a lot about the history of, fundamentalism, about how different organizations came into being. So it gave me an understanding of the world. But at the same time, there was a responsibility that I should not be glorifying or justifying any of the acts of Omar Saeed Sheikh. So the big challenge was how do you take that research and not, get
Humanize
so,
it.
not over humanize it. Humanizing it is evil, is as much a human characteristic as empathy is.
But tell me something, sir, that there is very limited written material on the person you wanted to make a film on. So I am sure that you had to rely a lot on Rajkumar's ability as an actor. So
Definitely.
what was the synergy? How do you guys come up with a plan that this is how we should proceed about it?
That's exactly how we made Shahid as well. Actually, all our films, like written material is always there, the script which is always there, but we tend to explore it on set. We create it on set. We don't really plan things. We know about the scene that we're getting into. We know about our characters, about the surroundings, but then we just let it go. We don't really, come up with like you will say this and then you will say this. That's what I think. The thing I love about working with Hansal is that's the thing which I love the most. He just gives us so much of freedom to explore that character on set. And of course, he's always there guiding us if it's going wrong. Then he would always pull us back and we'll start from the scratch. But most of the time, it has really worked for us.
You are playing a guy who is known for his dreaded acts. So when you got into the mind of a criminal, a terrorist, how did you feel?
I felt a lot of anger. I felt a lot of internal violence inside me. And it's a very, very uncomfortable space.
Wasn't there a chance of that internal violence to come on screen? Like, would the performance be as restricted as people wanted to see?
No. I think when you see the film, you'll realize there are a lot of silences in the film, and that violence it doesn't have to be always physical. It can be just in your looks. It can be in silences. It can be the way you're planning things around. Because the mind is always working. This Omar Sheikh's mind is always working. He's never at rest. Once he's taken a job, he would make sure that he would do it his best way possible. And there are scenes in the film where there is violence as well. There's scenes when there's a big scene between him and Daniel Pearl, and the whole scene was almost improvised. And of course, there's some violence in it, which was not planned. But then the credit goes to Hansal sir, credit goes to the co-actors, who are also equally passionate about what they're doing.
Your film is called Omerta, that is another name for Code of Silence. So what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, the initial reason for calling it Omerta is very frivolous. When in 2005 Mukul Dev gave me this idea.
That is another very interesting thing, because I was saying that Mukul Dev is the writer, one of the writers.
And Mukul actually, I'm hoping it's Der Aaya Durust Hai, but I'm hoping that Mukul has many stories, wonderful stories. And I hope that this marks the beginning of something new, a talent that he has that will come out, in the days to come. So Mukul gave me the idea, and then I pitched it to a couple of producers. So one of the producers said, let's make this, but don't tell anybody
That we are making this film.
that we are making this film. So I said, then I didn't like, untitled film. That first page of your script, when it says untitled, it feels the script is never going to get written. So I had to give it a title, so I said I'll call it Omerta.
That is Code of Silence for us also and the film.
For the film. And that name sort of got stuck so when, almost 12 years later, when we started making the film, that title was firmly entrenched in my mind, because
You were thinking about it all this while.
all this while there was constantly, every time there was a gap, I would go pitch this film, try to rework the script, try to edit the script, and the constant, when I was doing nothing, there was a constant refrain from friends and family. So what is happening to Omerta? So, matlab, Omerta became. So, when the film finally got made, I said, this is what has happened to Omerta.
Shahid was also, for that matter, your second film with Rajkumar, and now this film. So every film is totally focused on one character. So how did you do justice to that kind of expectation? Like the entire film is based on you.
No, I don't take that kind of pressure that the whole film is based on me, so I have to do something different now or something extraordinary. For me, even a smaller part, be it a queen where I'm the second lead, it doesn't matter. For me, the length doesn't matter. For me, Trapped, my hard work in Trapped is equal is as honest as my hard work in Bareli Ki Barfi.
And also Shahid was the kind of breakthrough film
Yeah,
which kind of announced that Rajkummar Rao has arrived. So and after Shahid, 3-4 other films. So now do you feel that there is a pressure to live up to that kind of expectation of the audience also?
No, I can't really work under pressure. I've never thought about how people are going to react to my performance because I don't know how, I can't function like that. I can't perform a scene thinking somebody else in mind. I'll have to keep my character in my mind, and then only I can do it honestly. So anyways, I don't like working under pressure. I want.
So what was the first thing when you were told that you are going to play Omar Sheikh in this film? And what was the first thing? What was the thought process? Like now
I was
I'm going to
nervous,
do
of
it.
course, because it's a very unfamiliar territory for me. I have no idea about these guys. I don't know anything about him or people like him.
And also this is the first time we are going to see a terrorist as the central character in a film, because we haven't seen anything
It's
like
the
this.
antagonist as the protagonist.
And the entire film is from his perspective.
From his perspective, from an antagonist's perspective.
That brings me to another point, that if everything is from his perspective, how are you going to portray it? Like, was there a kind of conflict of ideas in your head? Like which side should I take?
No, because I would take the side that Omar believes in. I can't put Rajkumar's personal ego in the character.
Was there any clash?
Yeah, of course. As Raj, of course, I strongly condemned what they do. I totally condemn it. I don't believe in their ideologies. But when I'm playing a character, then it becomes my responsibility to believe in what I'm saying. If I don't have conviction in my lines while performing, then how will people react to it? How will people have conviction?
And how did you control that performance?
And with Raj, I mean, there's this thing about a director controlling. I don't control. I mean, with me, it is creating an environment that is conducive for the story to blossom.
Because I think that is what you did with him in Shahid also. Like the camera was there and it was left to him to act.
Yeah, it's a little more than that, but it's there's a organic process, that takes place. We select the right spaces. Then in that space, an actor who has already prepared himself, like Rajkumar, comes into that space, and then I basically try to create an environment in which that moment can be truthful.
But Omar Saeed's truth will be very different from my truth, the audience's truth.
No, from my side, it was clear. I would do whatever Omar would do in that scene. If like as Raj, of course, I would hate it. I would hate him, but I've hated my characters in Queen also, in Ragni MS also. So that's okay. You can't really make people love you always.
And the film was also having some problem with the censor board, some cuts.
It's not such a big problem, honestly. The examining committee asked for many cuts. I did not agree with those cuts. I mean, they were a bit ridiculous. There was no logic. So I asked for the show cause notice and approached the revising committee. The revising committee was far more open. They asked for 2 major cuts, and eventually when I carried out those cuts in the film and saw it, I realized that the narrative was completely intact.
And also there is nudity involved in.
To some extent, I mean, we have to grow over this concept of nudity. We watch Game of Thrones.
And also, but as an actor, it will still remain difficult to perform those scenes.
Yeah, of course, it's not easy. It doesn't come naturally. There's a certain amount of nervousness that I have if I have to do like a nude scene or a frontal nudity. But then with him, I can, because I trust him so much. With him, I know it's going to be very, aesthetically shot, and it's not going to be just for the heck of it.
So this film is also going to be a comment on India and Pakistan's relationship and the way we deal with it.
Well, it is, none of this. There is no comment. What I believe, what is the strength of this film is that it is open to your commentary. It is open to your interpretation, and it is open to your further action. And it's a call for action from each one of us.